Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Reed. In this series, we explore the brain, behavior, and mental health. In this video, we'll examine the ventricular system and how cerebrospinal fluid circulates through the brain. As you can see here, the ventricular system consists of two lateral ventricles, the third ventricle, the fourth ventricle. Each lateral ventricle has three major extensions: an anterior horn located in the frontal lobe, a posterior horn extending into the occipital lobe, an inferior horn which reaches into the temporal lobe. The two lateral ventricles communicate with the third ventricle through the interventricular foramina, also known as the foramina of Monro. The third ventricle lies between the two thalami. From there, fluid passes through the cerebral aqueduct into the fourth ventricle, which lies between the cerebellum and the brainstem. In adults, the total volume of cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF, is approximately 140 milliliters. CSF is produced by the choroid plexuses within the ventricles. The flow of CSF follows a precise pathway. It begins in the lateral ventricles. Once the cerebrospinal fluid is secreted into the lateral ventricle, the cerebrospinal fluid travels through the interventricular foramen, shown here in green, and through the interventricular foramen, it travels into the third ventricle, and then through the cerebral aqueduct into the fourth ventricle. It leaves the ventricular system and enters the subarachnoid space through the three apertures of the fourth ventricle, which we can see here. So two lateral apertures on both sides here, and a single median aperture. Cerebrospinal fluid flows superiorly within the subarachnoid space and eventually passes into the dural venous sinuses for reabsorption into the venous system by the arachnoid villi. The choroid plexus synthesized cerebrospinal fluid contains water and other plasma components, amino acids and glucose, which nourishes brain tissue. The main functions of CSF are to cushion the brain and spinal cord when they're struck with mechanical force, to provide basic immunological protection to the CNS, to remove metabolic waste, as well as to transport neuromodulators and neurotransmitters. Cerebrospinal fluid is also very useful for clinical diagnosis, and its samples are usually obtained from the subarachnoid space, SAS, by lumbar puncture. Because this system relies on narrow passageways, obstruction at any point can lead to hydrocephalus. For example, blockage of the cerebral aqueduct can cause enlargement of the lateral and third ventricles. Impaired absorption at the arachnoid villi can produce communicating hydrocephalus. Ventricular enlargement may also be seen in neurodegenerative disorders, reflecting loss of brain tissue rather than obstruction. Understanding the ventricular system is therefore essential for interpreting neuroimaging. The ventricular system is not simply a cavity within the brain. It is a dynamic circulation network that cushions, nourishes, and protects the central nervous system. Its anatomy directly informs both neurology and psychiatry. If you're finding these lectures helpful, please like and subscribe to Read Matrix, and I encourage you to share your thoughts and questions in the comments section.